20 questions, 4 difficulties. We're going to move from easiest to hardest in a test of your Outlast Trials knowledge regarding the lore, gameplay, history, terminology, all of it. There will be the occasional reference to the original games, Outlast 1, 2, and Whistleblower, so your knowledge of these games may also be helpful. When you get the right answer to a question, you're going to give yourself 3 points. There will be a fun fact accompanying each question, and if you get this correct, give yourself 1 additional point. These fun facts will generally have open-ended answers, so as long as you get the gist of it correct, you can give yourself that point. By the way, there will be a timer for each question that counts down until the answer is revealed, but by no means do you have to come up with the answer in that amount of time. Feel free to pause the video during every question and think long and hard for as long as you need. Of course, try to work with your own current level of knowledge rather than going to the Outlast wiki for your answers or whatnot. Okay, keep track of your score and let's see what happens. Question 1. What is the name of the effect when you run out of sanity? D. Full psychosis. Fun fact, while answer B, lateral ascension, is wrong, this is the term for the process a patient of the morphogenic engine undergoes when they become eligible as a host for the Wall Rider in the game Outlast 1. Question 2. Which of the following is an MK challenge? The answer is B, shut down the factory. This was intentionally a bit of a tricky question because I know a lot of people confuse this trial name for the name of its corresponding full-length trial, Pervert the Futterman. I don't know why, I do it too. Anyways, fun fact, answer D, Murkoff Memorandums is not the name of an MK challenge, but this phrase is instead seen as a heading in certain evidence documents, like this one and that one. It shows up a lot, you'll see it. Question 3. There are certain items you can throw to hit targets in the carnival games at the fun park. Which items will work? The answer is D, all of the above. Every throwable in the game works if you use them on these targets. Fun fact, when you're trying to hit the targets in these carnival games, you cannot vault over the ledge in front of you until you win the game and grab the ticket afterwards, then you can vault over the ledge. Enemies too, you have to be careful. Question 4. What can you not do in your sleep room cell? A. Go to sleep, ironically enough. I mean, you'll wake up in the bed, but you can't click on your own bed and go to sleep, right? So fun fact, during the Outlast Trials closed beta, when you logged into the game and woke up in your cell, the specific location you woke up in would be on the floor. Instead of waking up in your bed as we do nowadays, your reagent would wake up on the floor. Guys, what do we have a bed right next to us for? Question 5. When is the Outlast Trials set? The answer is A, 1959. I mean, the story starts in 1959, but at the current point in the lore, we're moving well into the year 1960, which is pretty cool to me. Fun fact, answer D, 2013, would be correct if we were instead talking about the original games, Outlast 1 and Outlast 2. Both those games are canonically set in 2013. We are moving on to level 2, Standard. Question 6. What is the in-universe name for the project we are participants in? The answer is D, Lathe 2. There are many fun facts for this one, so I'll arbitrarily list off many and choose just one for the bonus point. The project is called Lathe 2 since yes, there was a Lathe 1 and it ended in a catastrophic security failure with many deaths, not unlike the outcome of Amelia's escape, and the acronym itself, Lathe, currently stands for Latent Agency Therapy, whereas during Lathe 1, it stood for Limbic Aggression Therapy. I chose Program Geister as the false answer for choice A because this was the name for the recurring Halloween event that showed up in both 2023 and 2024 and will likely come again this year as well. MK Signala was the name of the false answer for B, which is just a combination of the terms MK Challenge and Signala Facility, which is the name of the location in which the trials occur. Now, the fun fact that will count towards your bonus point is this. The false answer of C, Eskimo Reuben, is a phrase mentioned in the Murkoff account comics. What is its significance? In the comics, Pauline Glick says Eskimo Reuben as a kind of code phrase to establish herself as being higher on the Murkoff hierarchy as compared to the nameless suits she's talking to. Those guys are Alpha Grey or whatever. Question 7. What are imposters? The answer is C, X-pop. Imposters are just X-pop, surprisingly enough, but they are wearing latex masks which are meant to mimic reagents' faces apparently. It is a weird piece of the lore to me. Fun fact, the false answer of D, Murkoff employees, applies in the case of employees who succumb to the psychosis of the Signal facility and end up as a specific class of X-pop. This class is the Pusher. Evidence documents reveal that most, or perhaps all of the pushers we see are former Murkoff employees who willingly joined the therapy as X-pop because the madness got to them in some form or another. Question 8. Which will not change regardless of how many players you play with? The answer is D. Whether you play solo or 4-player co-op, you must still kill 1 witness downstairs and 1 witness upstairs in this trial. Meanwhile, in Poison the Medicine, when you play solo, you only need to stuff 6 packets into the mules, while when playing in a party of 4, you must stuff them with 12 packets. Actually, I think co-op with any number of players makes you stuff the mules with 12 packets, so that would be the same regardless of whether you're in a party of 2, 3, or 4. Now, fun fact, the amount of generators you currently have to start and kill the snitch is not the same as what it used to be back in early access and closed beta. Describe this change. So currently, in Kill the Snitch, we have to start 1 generator on solo and 2 generators on co-op. In early patches of early access and closed beta, the number of generators you had to start was higher and kind of matched the numbers of players in the party, somewhat. Solo players as well as parties of 2 had to start 2 generators, parties of 3 had to start 3 generators, parties of 4 had to start 4. It was a crazy high number. They made a similar change to vindicate the guilty regarding the amount of evidence rooms you had to complete, but disregard that. If you remember this change about the police station generators, you get the bonus point, even if you didn't get all the number values exactly right. Question 9. Is the Berserker blind? The answer is B. The Berserker is blind as a result of this strange illness. Fun fact, answer A is partially somewhat correct-ish, because according to his evidence document, what the Berserkers do to themselves after they become blind is they pick at their ruined eyeballs so incessantly that they become at risk of self-lobotomizing. Yes, interestingly enough, and if you did not know, the anatomy of the eye sockets are such that they basically connect directly to the brain. I apologize for the very gruesome fun fact, but guess what game we were playing after all? Another fun fact, which does not count towards the bonus point, is that I included this phrase, chemical encouragement, because it keeps coming up in the lore and the character dialogue and elsewhere. I don't know what that means, bruh. I was encouraged to take Chemistry 11 in high school, and I did not enjoy it. Question 10, who composes the score? Bro, I have to re-record this line on my horrible mic, but question 10, who composes the score for the Outlast Trials? B. Tom Salta. That boy is a talent seen only once every 1,000 years. Consider him an outlier because Samuel LaFlamme, who composed the scores for Outlast 1, Whistleblower, and Outlast 2, is also a talent seen only once every 1,000 years. Guys, that basically means we lived a statistical 2,000 years in the span of 7. The fun fact for this question is not a fun fact, but just a matter of whether or not you laughed at the false answers for C and D. If you did laugh, you get a bonus point. I mean, just everyone gets the bonus point for this one, for fun. You deserve it for making this far into this quiz. For the next 5 questions, we're moving on to level 3, Intensive. Question 11, in which trial will the prescription, heavy training, not serve any benefit to the player? The answer is C, Incinerate the Tech Soys. This was a fun question to design because it tests your knowledge on 2 levels. First, you must know that the prescription heavy training allows you to move faster when carrying heavy objects. Second, you have to consider which of these trials has heavy objects in them. Incinerate the Tech Soys has none, you just push a cart. Teach the Police Officer was a treacherous false answer, because most of that trial involves matching keys to their corresponding rooms, no heavy objects. But the fun fact is, there is that one heavy object in the trial, and that is the film reel with which you perform the titular action of teaching the police officer. Question 12, why is Dr. Hendrik Jolly Easterman balding? Thallium in the pocket of his work coat. The answer is B. The Murkoff higher-ups had this nice little Christmas party and got a bit rowdy. Some strange scientist who was visiting at the time put thallium in the pocket of Easterman's work coat as a very unusual and unethical prank. That stuff is crazy toxic. Anyways, fun fact, there is a little piece of truth within one of these false answers. This piece of truth is that Easterman's mother did indeed rip out fistfuls of his and his brother's hair. It's just not the reason he's balding nowadays, which is why answer C is wrong. But it's a cool piece of the lore and of Easterman's story. We can no longer wonder why he's such a bizarre fellow. Question 13. Which of the following is true? This is going to take a long time to read. The answer is A. Baby may be teething. They didn't want to let the guy use real bullets because then every Franco trial would be accompanied by the deadly prime asset variator just by default. Then I wouldn't want to play the game anymore. For the false answers, I just made a bunch of stuff up that hopefully sounds plausible enough that you fell for it. I really hope you did. Fun fact, answer D is like doubly or even triply wrong. It's wrong for many reasons. Just name one of the reasons and you'll get the bonus point. Okay, so first, Gooseberry's brain is not exposed. What we're seeing on the top of her head is just her bald, scarred scalp. Her plushie is inaccurate for this reason, and I don't know why, but she looks good. This answer is also wrong because nothing in the lore is said about acclimation to lifelong encephalopathy infection. That string of big words, by the way, I don't think it even means anything. Question 14, which of the following is a real asset? Not prime asset, by the way, that's different. The answer is D, because there is a corpse cut in half and you can find each half on either side of the orphanage gate. How interesting. Yeah guys, I thought I was absolutely insane. The thing is, I recorded my lines for this video before I confirmed everything about the questions because I was so assured of my knowledge. Then I went to go look for footage of the gate corpse in the orphanage and I thought I was absolutely insane. Because there's no gate corpse anymore. But I'm absolutely sure there was. This is Feed the Children. I looked in all the orphanage maps to confirm it. There was no gate corpse, but there was one here. I have a screenshot from my old video in early access of the gate corpse being there. I don't know why they removed it, but you know. I'm gonna talk about this later. The fun fact here regards the police station laboratory mentioned in answer C. In Kill the Snitch, if there was to be a key corpse inside this laboratory, which gate would the corpse give you the key for? It would give you the key for the third gate. The specifics of the rule are a bit difficult to learn concretely, but just understand that the key given to you by each corpse generally corresponds to the gate of nearest proximity. In this case, this holds true because the laboratory is closest to gate 3 and will always give you the key for that gate. Question 15. Which two characters share the following voice line? You don't have to do this! The answer is B. The snitch and the judge. You don't have to do this! You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this! Guys, please be reasonable. We gotta complete the Season 3 catalog, of course we have to do this. Fun fact, answer D is probably the most wrong of all these possibilities. Reasons being that the deviant, he's like really into being tortured to death until the very end of the trial, so it is very likely he wouldn't tell you, you don't have to do this. The prosecutor, meanwhile, cannot speak because he's gagged, so he can't say this because he can't speak, so he can't say this because he can't speak. This is a weird open-ended question, sorry, like you could have given a lot of different valid answers I think, so you can just use your own judgment. If you gave a reasonable enough answer that was different from mine, give yourself the bonus point anyways. For the next 5 questions, we are moving on to level 4, psychosurgery. The 5 questions remaining from this point onwards will require full sentence answers. It's a real exam. Again, you don't have to match my answer word for word, that would be unreasonable. You only need to get the gist of it right to get the points. Each of these questions is now worth 4 rather than 3 points, but there is no accompanying fun fact to answer. Good luck. The degree of trauma will be impressive. Question 16. Which trials have overlapping or shared acronyms? There are 2 distinct cases of this sharing. You must list both. The answer? PTM and DTF. PTM can refer to either poison the medicine or punish the miscreants. DTF can refer to either drill the Futterman or deface the Futtermans. However, know that at the time of releasing this quiz, the most recent update for the game was on April 22nd, Season 3's release, and the most recently released trials include Liquidate the Union, Cook the Informant, and Spread the Disease. If you're watching this video far in the future, like long past the upload date, there are likely to be many more trials which share acronyms. That's okay. Whichever answers you provided, so long as they share acronyms, you can get the points. I just won't know those trials exist yet. Question 17. Release the Prisoners may be the most unrealistic trial of all, just because it violates the basic logic of physical space. If you find this statement bewildering, think hard on it, and then try to explain why this trial is an example of impossible space. The thing is, Red Barrel owes us an explanation. Why is it that in Release the Prisoners, we 4 players will be in the same tram when we step into these capsules, only to end up on completely opposite sides of the police station from one another? We're probably something like 1 whole kilometer separated from each of our teammates, yet these capsules that spin us into the trial are only supposed to do just that, spin. They are not meant to move us, to transport us to a new location, because as far as we know, this trial shuttle has always been physically placed right next to the trial entrance. I hope these diagrams are helpful in explaining the impossibility of this all. It is so strange to me. Question 18. The 3-part question will be unleashed upon you. First, is there a trial in the game with a blackboard that has the words "Spider Eye Lamb" written upon it, or am I yet again just making this up? Second, if you said yes, this blackboard and text both do exist, in which trial can they be seen? Third, under which circumstances can you read the text? So yes, this trial and this blackboard text do exist. It appears in Vindicate the Guilty, and you can only read it when you have night vision enabled. You get 1 point for each individual question you answered correctly here, but if you got all 3 parts correct, you get the full 4 points. This is such a cool detail to me. I cannot take credit for discovering it, many other people did. I am not that wise, so I'm just here to foster the proliferation of interesting knowledge. Question 19. Which is the only trial environment in the game which truly takes place outdoors rather than in a warehouse? It is the fun park. If you look up, you will see genuine clouds and no warehouse ceiling. You could have said any trial related to the fun park for this answer, such as grind the bad apples or punish the miscreants or whatever, because the environments themselves don't really have an official term you are meant to refer to them as. I think fun park does this job best. But yeah, every other trial in the game may feel like it is or should be outdoors, such as the streets in suburbs or downtown, or the outside of the main buildings, such as the outside of Courthouse or Toy Factory. But in all these instances, if you do look up, you'll see nothing but warehouse ceiling. It's especially obvious nowadays, since the most recent update drastically increased the natural lighting of the game. Question 20. Oh, you love the Outlast Trials? Name every trial in the game. Also, name every class of enemy. Also, every item, amp, prescription, rig upgrade, variator, Murkoff employee, and Red Barrel's employee. Guys, I'm kidding. Just name every class of enemy in the game, or every trial in the game if you like, whichever you prefer. The former is easier than the latter, especially because if you're taking this quiz long after the upload date of this video, there's going to be way more trials added than enemy classes, I am pretty sure. I'm not gonna read all that out, you can read it silently to yourself. Hey, thanks so much for taking the quiz. I spent a lot of time in very deep and serious contemplation, and I thought, I have to save all this for the very end of the video because people are going to get bored if I give a whole 5-minute speech before the quiz even begins. So, short story long, this quiz is adapted from my original Outlast Trials quiz, which I made on December 1st, 2023, almost 1.5 years ago. That was when there were only 4 main trials in the game was still in early access. It was a good time, but there was a lot less material to base my quiz off of. Yet, I managed to still make up a cool 100 questions. Most I drew from there to put into this quiz here. Some of them I find have now become outdated or incorrect because of changes made in recent balance updates. That is one of the biggest things I wanted to avoid in making this quiz. I wanted my quiz and questions to be timeless. That's why you don't see any questions like, what's the cooldown of the stun rig? 180 seconds base cooldown, because a value like that is very likely to change with the game's regular balance updates. I also have some regrets that I know some of my questions are based on very niche or obscure details that even the most knowledgeable Trials players are likely to miss, which doesn't feel good. Like the bisected corpse in the orphanage gate. No, not many people are paying attention to that, no matter how much you play the game. Question design is harder than you might think, but it's also a great challenge. I really enjoyed making the false answers sound plausible enough that you would fall for them. I like that a lot. I like making these questions, these quizzes. I would like to do more. That's why this quiz only has 20 tentative questions, just to test the format and how you like it. The way I propose the question and answers here vocally, rather than just showing the text alone, it's very time-consuming and tedious, I think. That's why I think a purely text-based quiz, outside of video format entirely, might just work best. I also ran a knockoff Kahoot version in the Outlast Trials official Discord. That was almost 2 years back, that was nice. I don't know if YouTube supports this, I'll find out, but in the description I wanted to drop the PDF version of my original 100 questions quiz for your enjoyment. That might be nice. Anyways, I just rambled crazy. I want to do more of these quizzes. Maybe smaller scale, maybe larger scale, we'll see. I need your feedback for this. Tell me your pleasures and your pains. Who smiles in this life?